I always forget to bring my. There we go. Good, good Tuesday morning, everyone. So we are once again live, a different day, and doing the same shit. I honestly hope it was something different, but last night I left on getting the bug of not loading my application the way I wanted to. There we go. Just waiting to my mic to actually connect. And I thought, you know what? After stream, I'll watch some videos. I'll cross reference to check if I have all the architecture and structure correctly. Make sure I'm actually calling the homepage. But nighttime came around. 3 hours left. Spent a few time on Duolingo trying to learn Ukrainian. And after that, I got lazy. Went downstairs and tried to watch a movie at first. I tried to watch a movie. There was a movie I wanted to watch before it came out, but I wanted to watch that movie when I was a bit lazy. That's when I was still binge eating food. I was still not doing shit with my time, so I had time to just waste. And you guys may know the movie. I think it's like No Hard Feelings. Like Jennifer Lawrence is like acting as this broke middle-aged woman trying to date this introvert kid, right? And I thought it was interesting, but then I popped it on, and oh my lord, it was. Just imagine, right? You in drama class, like you in your high school drama class, yes, seven, whatever, and you're trying to watch your classmates awkwardly trying to act, right? Trying to perform. That is that is the definition of my experience with that. I didn't even finish it, guys. I was like 10 minutes in. I was like, what is this shit? Jokes were not funny. Uh, the acting was so poor. And she was just being overly pushy. Like, it's just so not real. And I try to watch something else. And it turns out, you know what, David? If you don't like it, why are you putting yourself through this? Because it's obvious your body's telling you, David, you changed. So stop going back to these things that you used to do, but they no longer satisfy you anymore because you no longer associate with these type of behaviors. So I was like, you know what, let's just do something else. So I spent some time on YouTube, and I guess it was kind of different because at least YouTube is more real in a sense. Nobody is acting, but you're learning something from it. And I was just like watching some creepy pasta shit before bed. And shit, what did I do with my OBS? I have to open. All right. So, like I said, today we are gonna finish off. I'm also going out today with my friend, which is exciting. Anyways, we're gonna finish off debugging this situation we have here, guys. Debugging it. We're gonna debug this. We have to debug it. So, just to show you guys where we left off. Not get where we left off last time. Oh. And that's the thing also, like last night, I realized I stopped working at this project itself because I felt uncomfortable because I didn't know what to do. And we can't allow that to happen because if I just decide to give up on working on something because I don't know what to do every single time, then what's going to happen essentially is I'm going to form this procrastination habit again and just delay everything because I don't know what to do. But instead, I should not do the work when I actually completed the work I said I was going to do. Like that is I feel like I think that's a more infinitely more beneficial way of reinforcing these new beliefs into your mind, right? Instead of like saying, oh, that's it, I'm gonna call it a day because it's getting too hard, rather say like, rather actually do, not just say do, I'm finishing off today because I actually done what I said I want to do. I think that just, it just makes you like feel like you're the type of shit anyways too. So yeah, normally when we load up the application right away, it should not be this. It's saying unmatched route, meaning that the route is being called incorrectly, because when I go to the sitemap, which gives us the options to see the individual modules, as we can see, if we go to our index page, which for some reason is not calling anymore. Oh, I mean a layout page. We can see, so the index is wrong, it seems like, because the index is the actual home, and the tabs within still works. You see the home feed works, and if we go to iPhone mode, we can see the tabs down here, which once again correspondingly clicks to each tab. So the tab, like there's nothing wrong with the tabs itself, right? So the styling, nothing is wrong with that. But the issue seems to be springing from the index, which I tried to use the AI to sort the problem out. And all they had done is to make an index.txt redirect to home. But I feel like that's unnecessary because, and it's just making all these new components saying that we can't have too much, like we can't mix up it's saying that whenever it's calling each tab, that it's showing undefined because we have too much nested components within the text, within the file itself. But that makes also no sense, because if this is my tab, like this is like my main tab, right? And I'm calling only into this tab in my layout.txt, right? So this is like my app layout, which is this. Then it should not matter if I nest these components within the home tab dictionary, because I'm still only calling what is being shown in this tab. So maybe there's something wrong with this. I wonder what happens if I change this. See, so this is the actual, like tab layout. As we can see, modules. I think this is the problem. This is the root layout. So maybe what we are supposed to actually be doing is getting the tab layouts and calling it. Because where are we actually getting this? Only in layout.txt. So this is not being called. You know what I mean? And this contains the whole of my homepage. So based on what I learned from React Native, if this is acting like a similar file as to display your whole application, like where your individual screens will and page will be, like imagine this is like your primary page. This is like the page like where it will change, like where it will display everything. So if this is going to be the header and the module, which I have no idea what it is, then it will only make sense to have my display screen in here. Tabs, home, no name. But then again, this has tabs, which I have no idea if I'm even writing the right code at this point. Where is it grabbing these values? That's my question. And the model, where is it grabbing the module? I don't want to. No, not this one also. Sir. The issue is that in export router, the tab layout should be automatically handled by the tabs folder structure. I can feel like this almost like a little bit of stress building up, and I have to suppress it. Just understand that it's happening, but you gotta calm down, because sometimes if you allow this feeling of stress to build up, then you're gonna go into overboard and you're gonna just go crazy and not to be productive anymore. Just understand that what you did wasn't working, and let's try and figure something else out. Ah, it's a home. So something ain't right. I'll tell you that. It's home. It should just be home, not home. Therefore, tabs of home obviously won't work. But let's say if we do home, it's gonna work. Don't believe me, guys? I'll watch this shit. Now if we go back all the way. Boom, that's not gonna work, right? Home. So is this not redirecting it? Then this will be home. Why is this too? What's calling it to home? That's my question. Why is it still calling home? Tabs, home. similar. I think that's the nested structure. Yeah. So we can't do nesting structures. Again, I don't need this. I'll just do it myself then. I just don't think that's the issue though. But sometimes you think like a few naming conventions doesn't matter. But I do remember a guy mentioning that naming your file's index or whatnot does have some type of role. If not, my last resort will just be to move all the components into the components folder. But then now, like we go here, we change it to index. No way, we did it. We did it, guys. It literally was a naming convention problem. Jesus Christ. There is some issues though because my emojis are not appearing anymore. Which again could be just another naming problem. Yes, it is actually because here it's calling home when it should just be calling index. Actually, home tab.scream home. Yep, it's fixed. Yeah, see, home/index, more/index, tab/index. No, like it's just nested, so we can't have nested. The issue is that you have index.txig file in each tab folder. Right. So it just can't be a folder, simple as that. It looks like this is not gonna work. So we're gonna go to components and we're gonna do like tab components, right? Create a new folder. I think that's what UI is for though. So I will do I mean, can't we just move what I have already created? I wonder if that's possible. Just move the whole folder. We can. Lovely. Nice. No, wait, no. We don't want more in there. We want more in tabs. Let me close home so I don't get it mixed up by accident. Yep, mixed it up again. Okay, so now everything should be home, leaderboards, more, profile tiles, tracking. And now if we refresh our page, it's gonna be totally got its shit, right? As expected. And now what we have to do is go into each dictionary and pull out the index file, right? Index, 2 tabs. But instead of, wait. We have to name this something else. So in this case, it no longer will be index, but it will be home.txt. Put in tabs. Yes. Now we go to leaderboards. Rename to leader, BORDS. And then put this into tabs. Yes. And then go to more. Tabs. Go to profile. minutes. So now if I refresh the page, guys, fingers crossed. I want to see Hey using extension codes because, oh shit, we got some comments in the chat. I'm doing great, Skydeck. I'm doing great. How are you this wonderful morning? Or perhaps night? Let's see if this works. Seems to be some issues. Maybe I have to restart the server. There we go. And this is unnecessary now. The redirect's unnecessary. Ah, right here. There's 2 redirects. We don't need that anymore, I think. There we go. Boom. Oh, organization takes a bit of a time, guys, not gonna lie. Now we're gonna do now I think we might have to move on to Redux, right? I'm not even using any of these images anymore, so I'm gonna probably go and delete them. I'll save them for now because I don't know exactly what they do just yet. Components, buttons, cards. So the components are actually empty. Modules. Is optimization really that important right now, or is just making the app together more important? I think that is more important. At the moment, like, is pretty much like I did some separation, right? Like obviously not the best, but I don't know where this list and form and charts are coming from. a lot of there's a lot of bugs. right now, guys, all I'm doing is just adding back in the styling for the basic UI because before he deleted it. I think starting from tomorrow, I'm gonna stop eating 6 eggs in the morning and drinking like half a liter of milk with protein powder. I mean, I just feel like it's nice eating it, but now it's sitting here, like it feels like something is just weird's brewing up in my digestive tracts right now, which is not nice. And sometimes, guys, I actually miss the clarity you have when you fast. Obviously, you're just starving yourself, so you're gonna be alert. But I haven't been doing that lately simply because I'm on a cut. And in my head, what I am thinking is that if I already fasted since bedtime and I wake up and I don't take this opportunity to utilize muscle protein synthesis and wait until afternoon, then I'll have like a lower window of consuming protein. But then again, guys, like it's not really that important in a way. Like at least you're getting it, at least taking advantage of MPS, 3 times a day. It should be all right. And who knows, maybe later on when science change, the literature may be different. It may be that you can consume 1 meal a day and still gain the same amount of muscle as if you were just breaking your meals down into 5 little meals and having taking advantage of each little 3 hour window. Like, yes, bodybuilders does that, and yes, maybe you should do it because they do it, but sometimes, guys, things change. Things change, and there's no one definite answer, which is exactly the lesson we were learning from yesterday's mindset video, right? Dualities and the different poles of what's right and wrong. Sometimes being on the too extreme side means that you think that that's the only way to do things, but sometimes to allow something else in or to find that balance is not necessarily wrong. So maybe yes, having 1 meal a day for your whole entire life may affect something, but also having 5 meals a day every for your whole entire life. Yes. Anyways, as I was saying, having 5 meals a day for every single day, it may not be bad for you, But what it will do is it will stress you the fuck out. Like for me, if I don't have my meal this morning, I may be feeling in the back of my head, I would just still be thinking about what if you have just lost this opportunity, this golden window to put on more muscle, and it's not the fact that it's bad for you. And who knows, it may be, but who knows? But the thing is, mentally, it's there. It's just lingering, the thought. It's like, oh, I could have done it, but I didn't do it. Now I'm going to perform bad in the gym. Now I'm not going to get enough recovery. And when you think like that in your head, you're going to perform shit at the gym. Like you're going to perform shit at the gym. So there is definitely a balance to be found. But then again, context is very different and depends on the person also. But in this case, I do miss it. So starting from tomorrow, well, I am thinking that I will start doing it. Let me just put in the next prompt so I'm not just yabbling on and wasting my time. So, like, what was I saying again, guys? Oh, yeah. Because I'm on a cut, I'm already restricting calories. And that's the mindset. Like, yes, even on a cut, on a bulk, either way, your body is using nutrition. Except when you're on a cut, your body may just be utilizing those nutrition in a way. No, your body in a way is utilizing energy less or conserving energy because of the amount of nutrition you are feeding into your body. But does that necessarily mean it is burning through more nutrition than if you were on a bulk? I mean, yes, in that case, yes, but would that mean like your body is burning the same amount of nutrition if you were on a bulk versus a cut? No, because you're ingesting different amount of quantities and your body knows how to participate them off to different areas in a lower or more dosage depending on whether you're on a bulk or on a cut. So I think if that's my theoretical hypothesis, then it would not matter if I wait till I'm on a bulk or if I wait till right now and I just have the fastest day in the morning, because either way, I will not be missing out on anything too drastically. Because if I eat later, that means I'll still have the opportunity to getting more food. Like I'll still have the opportunity to getting like at least 3 feeding windows. And I'll have the time to eat towards the later during the night than eating too early and starving throughout the night. So tomorrow I'm going to start fasting in the morning. Probably not going to be ideal at the start because your body needs to get used to it. But I think the reason why I started eating breakfast, guys, also is that I wanted to make sure before I train I would getting at least 2 carbohydrate meals just so I have enough energy to push to the best in my workouts. But now I'm not even having any carbohydrates, so it doesn't even make any sense anymore. But then again, it's just a mindset issue, guys. It's just a mindset issue. Because I've seen so many people, right, have, big fees or just have, carbohydrates, whatever, and have pre-workout also. And they'll show up to the gym feeling like, oh, I'm feeling sick today, or, this pre-workout is making me feel like this. I don't want to do this. So, like, all the supplements, all the techniques and things to boost your productivity, to boost your performance may affect you. Yes, it can, but it all comes down to the person. And there's a saying that, the things you have or the things you will eventually get is only going to help you become the person. It's only going to help you become more of the person you already are. In this way, the things you learn from online, it's like handing someone the book 48 Laws of Power, right? Which I have up there. And the person may be a total shithead, right? He wants to manipulate. He wants to just gain control of everyone. And he may use that book to do harm. But if you give that book to someone who truly just wants to elevate others while still, doing that through power, and he may or she may use that book to, instead of manipulating people for the wrong things, for their own self gain, they're going to do it for the greater good. So it all comes down to the person. Like the information, whatever out there is universal, but it all comes down to what you want to do with the information. And now, with that yabbling on, we should have the components tested. Which is great. Now I'm gonna do something to just make sure that the UI is actually up to point. Data enough to just generate Jenny rate. There we go. Sometimes you have to not break it down too little, but you have to break it down into bigger chunks. I think that's the thing with each vocabulary, is that the word? Just enough to generate the UI component. So I could visual working with. Then I want you to wait for my command to delete. So that we to be honest, guys, like at the moment, I'm pretty happy with how I look in my body fat percentage. Obviously, I do think I'm still 20%, which is definitely over. I also have no idea actually exactly how much because I never measured it. But what I do know is I am definitely due for, I'm finished. But because if I did not screw up during my cut 2 weeks in, then I'll look much better and I'll look much fuller and I would have retained more muscle and strength. But because I messed up, now I'm prolonging this cut for a little bit longer. Like I should have finished it this week and been on a bulk. But now, 2 weeks back into my cut, I basically just look the same as as the start of the 2 weeks is what I'm trying to say. So basically undone my progress. And now I want to go for another 2 weeks. Which is just going to yes, I'm going to look lean for sure if I go down another 2 weeks. But also I'm sacrificing strength and my look. Like what I'm trying to say, guys, is that if I just stay consistent, I would have looked much better and leaner. Like I'll have more muscle and lean. But now like I can go lean for sure if I stick with it for another 2 weeks. But I wouldn't look as good because I'm also losing some muscles. Okay, so user status seems to be okay. There we go. Exactly how I want it. Obviously, it's just buggy as shit, guys. But overall, is definitely it's worth working for sure. Nice, 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 nice. You know, like seeing this, it's just like orgasms in my head right now. Like this is better than porn, 100%, guys, 110%. You know, like you may be tired, like when you're on a cut to beat your jerky or whatever, but you're never tired watching yourself get better at life. That's just a fact. That's just literally a fact. Yeah, nice. So all these bugs, like yes, maybe I should fix them right now instead of moving on with real data. Um, but then again, like fuck it, let's just connect everything and then we'll. I don't know, cause I never actually got this far. I always kind of like stop halfway ish. I need to go. Now I'm gonna copy the Redux store if I have it here. Is it in utils? No, 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 no. Okay, I don't actually think. Let me go into my projects. I think it's from Git pull fork. Yeah, it's in Redux store. Okay. So if we open up Visual Studio Code, how do we close a project? That's always been my. Okay, so this is going to be my Redux store for each. Necessaire. Fuck, I forgot to spell it. Necessary. I don't know, guys. I think Nessie. I think there's an E here. Yeah. Then C's. Dependencies. E's. That's not how you spell dependencies. Dependencies. There we go. All right. I know Redux Toolkit is an easier way to write Redux code, like without all the boilerplates setting up. But also, I am not really familiar with Redux by itself. So I think it would just be good practice on my part to just use Redux as its old way of doing things. Just so I know how the flow of data works better. And then Redux Toolkit can be something later on used to optimize my app. But now it's not a big of a concern. And I do know that I said I don't want to, I'm not interested to be the best code programmer out there. Like, obviously, like, that won't, like, being the best at something does not necessarily mean that'll make you money. It's about fixing a problem in the world, or fixing a problem by adding value. And being good at something, like extremely good, most of the time, you are so focused at your craft that you tend to ignore the fact of how you can actually monetize your skills, right? Yes, there's exceptions like, those, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, whatever, like singers and artists and whatnot, like the top of their career. But then again, I am not trying to be one of those people. You just have to know like what you are doing enough, and most importantly, to take on the uncertainty and find out how to do things. I think that's the most important trait as someone trying to, go against all odds. And I mean go against all odds, not in a way that you don't have the abilities or time or whatever to create, to become great itself. I mean go against all odds as in your belief growing up. Who your parents said you should become, who your friends think you should become, and that reinforces who you think you should become. And to go against all odds means literally that if you never went to college and your family never went to college and you grow up in a very poor country and literally your future is predicted to not go to college and perhaps work in a sweatshop, then you going to college is literally going against all odds. So to everyone, going against your own odd is different. You don't have to be this, and that. You don't have to be what they want you to be. You don't have to be what society depicts as the best human on planet Earth. You don't have to be, Bruce Wayne. What you have to be, though, is be your own Batman, right? Be your own Batman. That is literally what you have to be. But then again, like your motivations and your life will change over time. But I think like if you want to become something, but you never became it, and you decide to give up on it and think that maybe, making money or being an entrepreneur or playing basketball is not for me, and you give up, but you truly, like, you always believed you want to be that person, then I think you bitched out, like literally bitched out. You know what I mean? Like, because now you're compensating for less. For example, if you want to make money, right? And you say you want to start a clothing brand online, and you don't make the clothing brand because of fear or whatever, so you back out. And in this moment, you're lost, but you still want to make money. But the safe way to make money or to have a stable income is to go to college and hopefully get a 6-figure job after a few years of paying off your debt, maybe even getting the job in the first place. And then you get your job and then you're like, I'm happy. But deep down inside, you always wanted to be more money. You want to be more wealthy, right? But because you allowed fear to stop you, you compensated for less. And does that necessarily mean that you have overcame all odds? Perhaps, like, if going to college is really what you wanted, then sure, you have overcame all odds. And even if you never believed you could go to college and you managed to get a very good job in college, like after college, then perhaps, yes, you have overcame your own odds. But just know that you could have done the same otherwise. You could have done the same, but because you felt college was a safer route because everything is kind of guaranteed, like laid out, and all you have to do is just put in the work and meet deadlines, then that is literally the same as if you were to start a clothing brand. You just do the work, you just meet deadlines, and you just show up. And this is where the mindset problem comes in, because it literally is just putting the same work, right? It literally is like studying to become a doctor. You're remembering more things than an entrepreneur. Except maybe, being a doctor, like you have to be so precise as a doctor, right? You can't just like screw around and take risks and fail and, cut someone's artery and then they die and pass away, right? Like you have practice under your craft, but you're still practicing something to become perfectionist, right? But obviously, like, I feel like some people just have this idea that if you fail in the moment, like you literally, like someone's life is about to end. But the same cannot be applied to your own life, right? If you make a mistake, you can learn from it, you can grow from it. But for some reason, like when you make a mistake and like the mistake is of your own creation, you feel like it's a time wasted or something like that. I don't know where I'm going with that, guys. I just wasted you guys the time. This is glitching. All right, so that's a better command, because I don't need to CD into my trajectory. We will let it do it, because let's just let it take control and see what kind of sauce it spits up. Store action stores, reduces stores types. Is that what we have here? Stores. No. Why did he store stores? Where do you put Redux? Do you guys see it? There's a lot of config files which I don't think I need. Oh wait, I found stores. Here. But it's not under source. It's under app, which is very weird. Like, what is source for? Source is like, this is all contained under finish it, right? Which is pretty much under like your main folder. And you click in it, your public is like, images and shit, right? Like what the public can see, I think that's what it means. No modules are just like things, I don't even know what they are actually. But the source is where your code compiles, right? But here they have a different, like for an Expo app, I realize that, first of all, I don't know why Cursor has his own little file and VS Code also has its own little file. I think this is because Cursor is using VS Code's like code editor. But then we have app. And then app seems to contain the source code, like what's displayed in the app. But then we have assets, not stored within app. And then we have components not stored within app. And then everything else is just out of it. So what is actually in apps? Just the tabs? It looks like it's just the tabs. So I think I have to think app like literally the display of the app, which is this. And everything else, like the building blocks behind it, nests within the main folder, finish it, which is my app's name. But it really should be nesting within source, because that's like your source code, right? Again, optimization can be worked on later on. Right now, I need to focus on actually writing code for once. Not even code, just writing English, which is, yeah. Secret Funds, welcome to the chat. Again, I definitely reply late, but yeah. I mean, I should definitely get like another monitor for chats. I do have a laptop, which I could connect it at the moment without needing to buy another monitor. But just 2 monitors, guys. Sounds fun, but then again, it's money, right? And money, and eMangatsi's Money Online 2 challenge is coming up, and I do expect there to be a course to buy at the end of the VIP sessions, and I'm gonna save up for that course because my objective, if you guys don't know yet, is to actually get number 1 on that leaderboards. And yeah, so anyways, and why do I want to get number 1, you guys may ask? Because I'm tired. Not tired, I hate the fact that my friends think they're better than me, that my friends think that I will become nobody, that my friends think I'm wasting my time, even though I hate to admit they were right before, which is why I got my ass locked in right now. Like, because of that, like that, I can't see my friends and have them have this look, just knowing that, this guy won't make shit. This guy, let me just act nice to this guy for now because I don't want to hurt his feelings. Like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Anyway, stores. So we know there's a root reducer and a store reducer, right? So, and they are JavaScript files. Root reducer is where all your reducers will be stored at. So just imagine like as your center hub for your reducers for different components or different components that needs data to be stored. And then we need a store reducer. Store.js, which I believe it's why is this downloading super shit to my thing again? To make sure the data is stored. Okay. But one thing with using Redux is I remember that we have to wrap the Redux around your index. I'll show you guys. Yeah, persistgate. Provide a store so that the data is actually stored right in your application, and then here's your app. But this root render, I'm not entirely. Let me just focus on one thing before I go off trails again. But yeah, let me cover this point, because root render, right? So this is like your app. So this app will literally be app where we showed where our app was displayed, right? And everything that's nesting app is like, for example, this is browser router, meaning that this allows different pages to be loaded within the app. And persistgate will store data from what is being stored from Redux, if I remember correctly. So these are pretty much like, think of these as perks or different functionalities, but I think there's a different word for it that allow things to happen to app. That's a very bad explanation, but it just goes to show that even I am pretty unsure, which is why I suck at explaining things sometimes. But that's fine. Now, what needs to be stored? That's the problem. What needs to be stored? Categories, middleware, cards. I know like task should be stored, right? Task items. We'll just call it task for now. And let AI think what needs to be stored. Task. Let's just name it task. And within it, we will do like separate folders, spreading from task.action.js. So before, it was doing the right thing, right? It was going to make task actions, reducer, selector, and types. It was going to do that. The problem is, like the problem with, my experience thus far, is it wants to write all the code in one file, which then again makes everything easy. Don't get me wrong, it makes everything easy. But it's very hard to read, you know what I mean? It's easy for the AI to then find the resources it needs without crashing, without doing all these file cross-references. At least that's what I think. Like, it uses less resources, right? If everything is on that one page, you'll figure it out. And then we'll be like task. And this is literally just like an example code. Oh, nothing's saved in my actions. Oh, wait, it's in here. Types.js. That's why nothing was working. Then again, this code should not be here. It should be in the actions. And then we should comment this out. What should we? Doesn't really matter if we comment it out or not. Let's just leave it open. Because I don't want to overcomplicate things for the AI. And then the types. Wait. And then the root reducer, we'll just copy the root reducer over. And we'll save everything. And then we'll tell AI to actually make the rest of the files. Redux. Man, Okay, so pretty much each tab needs a Redux state management. Makes sense. So it's not necessarily the components, like each components that needs a Redux store. So you don't necessarily need like a separate storage of how information is being used and stored across the whole app state for your buttons, your cards, your charts, your form, your list, right? What you need is a store for like that whole page. So in this case, like home. And what happens at home is your modules, like your, where is it? Like your modules for create post, and perhaps your buttons for create post, or your emojis for liking posts, what not, right? Which means that changing the state of that page itself will change. No, wait. It means what does it mean, guys? My mind just went blank again. Maybe I should restart it. I think we only need Redux to store in each separate page because the components itself is in that page. No. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the components we make are building blocks, and the building blocks are placed into each separate homepage. So, therefore, we don't need to store like what changes in the components, because that change will be made in what happens to that homepage itself. And that homepage will change what is being stored, because the building blocks are just what put everything together. Now I'm simply just telling you to go to the page we are working on, extract the code that we were using to hard code the data and put that into the newly created Redux file based on the folder we had created, and do this separately so I can see if this is exactly the layout I want, and if that is approved, then we will move on. What I am unsure is he says here that we're working for one Redux per page, and then he breaks them down to social posts. We need something for that. We need something for post creation. We need something for user interaction. Now, does that mean that all three of these Redux states will be stored within like one reducer? For example, this cart initial state. Like this is telling us like, is the cart open? Is how many cart items is there? How many cart count? Like how many cart items is there in the cart? How many count is in per cart item and cart total? But this is just measuring the cart, right? Like what is actually in the cart. But this is saying that we need one for user profile, user status, profile setting. Like, does that all come under like user something or like profile tab? Or is there three different separate ones? Which doesn't really make sense because, or maybe it does make sense, but I just never done anything like that. So I'm pretty intrigued to see how this works. npm install save dev redux logger. Debugging, okay. Welcome, Lucas. Once again, I came late. Is this Java edition? Java edition. Nah, man. JavaScript and Expo. I'm using Expo app to make my application for Android. But yes, the code I am writing in is JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Well, really, the styling that Expo app provides, which I think is CSS. Then again, like that's really the foundation of everything, right? JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And that, frankly, is literally all I know. Maybe some other libraries like I know libraries, like different libraries, but in a way languages, that's really, really all I had to say thus far. So that's the home action, right? I really like how he did the home set post. Like he did home and then set. Like he did home and then the action type. Because sometimes when you have too much, for example, data here, like if you have like a lot of different set posts, for example, if you, I don't know, like if you were, let's just say set selected images, right? If you have set selected images somewhere else, like perhaps when you create a task, you wanna take a picture, but you also have set images for your feed, then just naming it set selected images can get confusing. Even though it is in a different file and folder, you want to have you want to make sure to be very specific. So in this case, it did home/set selected images, making sure you don't accidentally write something that you don't want to, right? Or right. So no, it is only using one home initial state. So the initial state stays the same. There is no social post initial state, post curation initial state, and user interaction initial state. It's just home initial state with the post, the post contents, like the images, like videos, post type is public. So pretty much, from my idea, the data, like the data structure you have for your Redux, is pretty much just a copy of what your data structure will be for your backend. Because if you think about it, you're retrieving data from your backend to be changed with Redux for your UI. So if you have something else from your backend, like um, you know, pin your geographic location, and you don't have it in the front end, but you also have a UI that has the option, then you're not gonna get the geographic location from the back end because you don't have the initial state. Like you don't even know what where you are at, unless you go to the back end. But users are not gonna go to the back end. Hopefully not, because that's a breach, right? I think that's a breach. You keep telling me to do this. Redux Thunk. That's good. Redux Thunk is what is it again? I think it's like remembering one initial state of change before it makes change to that remembered initial state of change. I think that's what Redux Thunk is. The issue is that let me just go back because he's definitely popping out way too much babies, and I can actually follow up with. Okay, so so. It's so sensitive that if I just tap it, my whole keyboard, mouse, and mic just disconnects. And that's the thing I hate about using like one of those extension, like those little pocket extension cables that has like 4 extra USB-C or USB ports. They are just so sensitive sometimes, and especially I'm using like a USB to USB-C to USB little adapter that can plug in the extension to the USB-C USB, so that you could plug into the PC. It's just so like delicate. Anyway, so the selector. So I think what it does is it selects the action type. I think that's what the selector does. And then what you want to do is you want to put the selector somewhere in the components or UI that will make the change. So I'm believing if you're gonna, because post content, this is gonna be the reducer, right? Post content somewhere, which is here, and home is literally like the store. Hold on, let me just remove all this first. Bit basic. Store, no, reducer. Yeah, home, see? And that's the combined reducer. So instead of just, trying to call your reducers, like your reducers from reducer itself, or maybe it is, but it's storing everything in the root, so you don't have to go through individual files, but rather you can just go to like, okay, I want to call my cart reducer from root reducer, or my home reducer from root reducer, instead of saying I want to call my cart reducer from cart reducer and home reducer from home reducer. Just pretty much minimizes human error. Obviously, working with AI, that's very, very minimum, because like, if you do a spelling mistake, you might be here trying to debug it for hours. But with AI, like, you'll make sure it gets it correct. But then again, like, you have to know what to prompt with it. And sometimes it can definitely trip over literally the most stupidest bug. Like, I'm talking about just not CD into your file, and you'll be wondering why the fuck my code is broken. And you'll be prompting AI, wasting your credits, and you'll just go in circles, when in reality, you just could have just done CD my file name. Like, some stupid shit like that. So you have your bad days and you have your good days. Definitely, for sure, So select is done, action type. Hmm. Again, I'm not sure exactly. I feel like there's definitely more to this. Like, yeah, like this is probably like a post button. This is like checking your if your post is open and your images. But I feel like there's actually some like there'll be code. You know what I mean? Like it'll write down. Get state. I'm not sure if we're supposed to be using get state if we're using Redux. But if it's using get state like use state. Nah, I think I think use state and initial state is different. Task home. Yeah, use selector use dispatch. That's correct. And instead of using like your local database, which is that's what it is. He's using dispatch, which is correct. And instead of using post set post for your initial state like show create post set create post, which is use context, it is using our Redux, which is exactly correct. I hear use selector. So yeah, use selector is pretty much selecting the initial state of select post. That's what it's doing. Select post, yeah. Gotcha. We don't need that anymore because yes. Nice. Again, set show cart. Instead of that would be dispatch. It's like a flow you have to follow with the Redux. So there's a lot of like unnecessary words. It's like being hyper specific, but then again, there's like a Redux toolkit which I don't want to use yet because I want to familiarize myself with Redux. And sometimes the best way to familiarize with something you don't know is to build something that you actually care about so you can actually learn. Like if I was making like doing a course, like for this course, I was making a online e-commerce store. Like I was doing code along videos, and yes, I definitely learned something, but when you're interested in something, you're literally like more hyper focused on actually understanding something. So this is create post, like the little tab we open when we create the post, and is using set post content dispatch set post content. Obviously, the content is I guess what the user puts in, and then dispatch post content is I believe an action or something. Dispatch post content. So this will be empty, meaning this is a string obviously, meaning that whatever happens here in the module which we create the task post content, whatever the user puts in here, it will go into here, and this will probably go feedback into set post content, meaning it will go all the way back to set post content, which is imported from store home.actions. And if we go back here, home actions, set post content, set post content, it will be content, right? Type home action type dot set post content. And if we go back to the action type, set post content, home set post content, and it'll go back to home set post content. So by reducer home set post content, home where is it? It's home set post. No, it's called home. It's called home. Home set post content. So set post content. Set post content. Set post content, right? It will. So this is the reducer, right? And state equals initial state, meaning that what is before things were happening. And then we have the action, and then that means, so action will be applied to initial state, and then you will return the so home, initial state, and then action. So if we go to this one, which is set post, it is returning the state, meaning it's returning what is initial state, like what happened before the change. And then post content, the payload, is the action. So what was the context for the action, right? The context for the action is, so the payload, right? The content for the action is content. And if we go back to home, the content, which was changed by the home module, is right here, is a string. So that means we're taking a value string as the context. Obviously, perhaps it could be better explained, but that literally is the kind of the flow, right? Like you have all your methods set up in Reducer, and then you select exactly where you want, like you select a name for the initial state of change, and then you apply what the context will be changed to in the place where you're going to use that specific action. And in this case, it'll be where the user creates the post. Layout.txt. So yes, the layout happens here. So the layout, as before, which I had imagined, this is the root layout. So everything that we have in our web application, like the root render, this is the root layout, meaning that the stack here, that's like your app, which is this. And then you'll have your router, you'll have your provider store, you'll have your, whatever else you want to nest the app within to provide different sort of security or features. That's the same as here, because now we have a provider store, which this is literally your data. And whatever is nested within, like the more deeply the thing is nested, so anything that's nested on the outer edge means it will be wrapped around the whole application. So think about when you're making your app. You want to know what, like, does my app need, does my data needs to be persisted across the whole entire application, and everything else needs to come after that to get like would my, for example, in this case, right? Would my router need my data for different stores? Perhaps it does, right? Perhaps each route to a different page will open up a different set of, components that will perhaps display your clothing, your shoes, your user signing authentication. So therefore, you want the data to happen before the user routes. You don't want to route to a page and have nothing displayed because you have your store nested inside of your routes. So you want to have the data appearing across your whole application and your app, or mainly like your display. You want that to be like in the middle, because this is just a display. But if I have my store nested within my display, then there'll be no data whatsoever. It'll just be like a freaking div, Okay, so let me fix the TypeScript issue in the home component. I'm probably trying to type in the select and fixing the action dispatches. Root state. Types of JS. Where is this coming from? Finish it store type.js. That's interesting. I never wrote in that before. I want to get the Redux sorted out before I start going to the gym, which literally will be pretty much, you know, soon. If I haven't been talking and explaining this shit, I probably would have, but literally explaining it, like there's magic, guys. Like sometimes if you don't understand something, you just need to explain it. You just need to like explain it. Because when you just think about something, you have like these ideas tangled up, and you want to express yourself so you can untangle these ideas just to hear if what you are thinking is actually the right thing you actually want. Because sometimes we get confused and we think that we know what we're talking about, but when we say it out loud, we realize that actually makes no sense. And thinking it also, like just thinking it, you tend to just ignore when you are wrong. So you have to sound it out. You have to sound it out. And then again, guys, like all the different types of actions are just a basic foundation. When I connect everything, it'll be so much easier to update and adding more functionalities to this application. But always just have something out in, like have something created, like have a prototype created. You don't want something to be perfect right away, because it's probably not going to be the perfect right away. You just want your idea out there. And when it's out there, you can update your app over time. That's why, for example, Clash of Clans, when it first came out, it wasn't freaking perfect. You didn't have like Town Hall, like what, 14, 15? You had like up to 10 probably. And you didn't have the kings and queens. You didn't have a different map to play around, right? You didn't have these things. It simply had an idea, it put it out there, and it iterated over time. It added in more things to keep the user interested and to perfect the app over time. All right, same as Minecraft. They added in stuff over time. And that's just how everything goes, because you don't know exactly what the market wants. You don't know what everyone wants. All you can do is try your best to copy what is already working, but have your idea, have something you know you want to do. And then just reiterate your idea, which probably will be something different. And that little bit of change might just make something, mundane better. And that's your idea, right? So I know for sure that all this will be right. This is something that needs to be fixed. Animations. That's literally where my bug persists. Animations. That's all it is. It's literally, I'm keep hearing weird noises downstairs. Even though my family went out with my auntie, but then again, it probably won't be a robber because it's freaking daylight. So I realized that they're not connecting the components to Redux Store yet. So I think I'll do that last. There's some errors here, I think. Yeah. A lot of errors, which means my app is broken at the moment. Yeah, it's broken. It's gonna be fun fixing this later, guys. I should have paid attention to my app. Like after each iteration, I should have paid attention. Because when you make so much changes, my friend's texting me, so he wants to hang out. Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? Text him back. Text him back later, guys. Not really there. Tracking. Set tracking time, weekly progress, tasks, daily points, the current slide, show your custom data picker. And the moment it may feel like there's a lot of like you know like there's more lines of just code, but this is just like names. This is like imports. Like it's much better than this shit. You know what I mean? Like it's just simple to read. That's literally all it is. You want code to be easily understood. That is good code. Simply understood code. It can't be too simplified to a way like where it like being concise is nice. Don't get me wrong, but when you're too concise and you just don't use any like English name whatsoever, then nobody's gonna understand what it means. Only you would know. And yes, it may run better, but then again, like if you're working with some people, you want them to understand what you're writing. And even though I could just not care about organization and try to organize it and just like, let AI spit out just 4 files of just, the whole every code, I could do that. But then again, like it's gonna be hard for me to read when I do want to add things, when I do want to debug things. feel like that is still hard coded. Mm. All right. So when that's doing that, I'm gonna write down the rest of the things I want to get done. So yeah, yeah. And yes, wearing my freaking sleeping bags again, being lazy. Yep, I didn't wash my hands after the toilet. So what? I feel like he's still hard coding the data. But then again, that's just the structure. It's giving the structure. And the structure is just a copy of the backend data. And after this, guys, I'm gonna get ready, get dressed, have some protein, and start going out for hopefully not too long. Because, yeah. Because I still gotta go to the gym and then, yeah. 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 And let's hope at the end of this integration, my app is not broken. Hopefully not. I mean, all the changes we made is to just change up the state management in each of the tabs. So there shouldn't be any errors with loading up the route because we're not making changes to route. We're just literally changing the hard coded, or not the hard coded, but the state management style in each. So instead of writing, all this, we are just importing it from Redux. Which, if there is an issue, the issue will be from Redux imports. Or something is just not right in Redux. But as we can see, we have like a lot of errors, specifically from like the naming conventions, right? Like, all this is not being used and shit. So something, I mean, this is dummy data. But yeah, something is wrong. Again, this is just dummy data. Use effect. Something is up. And now we ran into a problem. Great. I think it's because I turned it off. Yeah, I turned it off. Screw it, we're gonna end the stream here. We're gonna end it now. And come back to it when I come back. Yeah. Things to sort out when I come back, so let's just fix this real quick. And I'll leave my PC on probably. Let's see if that actually solved the problem. Yeah, all right, so we have an error to solve, which will be fine. Oh, I didn't know my PC could do that. That's pretty cool. Windows 11, right? Anyways, it's been great this morning, guys. It's been pretty damn great. And look at that jawline. Anyways, I'll be back in probably like 3 hours or something like that. And I'll probably go to the gym first, and then I'll come back and finish this shit off. Yeah, that's the plan.